90% of problems are a bad thing. 5%, you just got to go do a little bit more digging. Last 5% are a good thing. If only we could switch those numbers around, get a little bit more luck in there. Welcome in to Devil's Digest. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Jake Allen, pretty nice game last night. Stopped 44 of 45 shots in a win against Columbus. First star of the night across the whole entire NHL. Look, Jake Allen, for his role this season, what he's been asked to do, has been absolutely stellar. It gives him a chance to win basically every night. Maybe outside of that game in Tampa back in, I think it was October, where he had a struggle of a night. Those happen. But looking at his past 10 games, .930 save percentage. Won a big one last night in Columbus. Had another nice win in Edmonton. Philadelphia was an important game as well. Look, to show kind of how big this is for the Devils, how, meaningful this is you're seeing his best work when the timeline matches up with when Jacob Markstrom went down. Your ace goes down, you have a great goaltending duo, you need someone to step up. I mean, Devil fans know as well as anyone how important goaltending is to winning. I mean, last year you saw how many times you could win when you're one of the top offenses, top power plays in the league, and then you missed the playoffs by, a decent margin. Jake Allen has given them that goaltending, has filled that role for Jacob Markstrom when he went out. Now, when we go to Jacob Markstrom, since coming back, has not been the same player. .829 save percentage. Has only hit .900 since coming back in his first game once. .917 against Vegas. They lost that game 2-0. Struggle of a game in Winnipeg. Didn't get much help, but still 6 goals allowed. 6 goals allowed last game against Pittsburgh. Look, it's been rough for Markstrom since coming back. Allen's been really good lately. I mean, you can just go ahead and look at Jacob Markstrom's numbers so far this season. They've dropped. They're at a .902 now. He's struggled since coming back. He hasn't gotten the wins. He hasn't gotten the defensive support. Maybe not the same type of Markstrom that we saw beforehand. Now, when something like this happens, and you have one goaltender, your top goaltender, who you traded a first-round pick for, who you brought in to kind of fix that situation that you had last season where things seemed like they were always going wrong in the goaltending side. When you have a situation like this where Jake Allen's playing really well, Jacob Markstrom is struggling, what do you do? Well, first off, it's a good problem to have. Second off, you go to Jacob Markstrom. You put a first-round pick into Jacob Markstrom. Jacob Markstrom was supposed to come in and fix this goaltending duo. And that's exactly what he's done since he's came over to New Jersey. The Devils have had one of the top goaltending numbers in the league. The Devils have won games because of their goaltending. He's gotten shutouts. Jacob Markstrom has been the guy for New Jersey. Now, Jake Allen's played well recently. He's played really nice for the Devils. He's gotten them some wins. He got a win last night in Columbus that basically was almost all on him. I said yesterday, your stars need to be your stars. They don't need as many chances. Jake Allen was just as big of a reason, or maybe even more of a reason, last night as to why the Devils got a win. But you can't go off of just 10 games. And now, Jake Allen has been fantastic, stellar this whole entire season for his role. To come in and be a backup goaltender, and then when your number one ace goes down, you got to step in, and you step in the way Jake Allen with a .930 save percentage in 10 games. Okay, yeah, he's been a huge contributor, even more than probably what they pay him to this team. But you don't go off 10 games on a whole entire regular season, on a whole entire run to try and get in the playoffs. I mean, if you're going off 10 games, you're going to have a different answer every 10 games, every 5 games, every whatever amount of games. You got to go with the guy who got you here. Jacob Markstrom was one of the top goaltenders in the NHL in the Vezina conversation before he got injured. So as he came back and he struggled, absolutely. But you have to go with him down the stretch. And when you go ahead and you look at the remaining part of the regular season, you've got 5 playoff teams. You got to play teams in your division 3 more times. One of those being the New York Rangers. That could be an important game down the line. We'll see how important that game is. But you've got 13 games left. You're in a playoff race. Well, you got to go show why you went out and got Jacob Markstrom. I mean, this is Jacob Markstrom's time to come in with an injured defense, a superstar down, tight playoff race. This is why you went and got him. You went and got Jacob Markstrom for situations just like this. The Devils are where they are, and a huge part to that is the play of Jacob Markstrom. I mean, we look last season, the offense scored more. Jack Hughes was there. They had Tyler Toffoli. Maybe not as much development on the back end. And they still didn't make the playoffs. This year, little bit different circumstances. They're third in the division. They created 10-point separation on Columbus, 8 on the Rangers, and a little bit more separation with some of those other teams. But when you're looking at who do you go with down the stretch, Jake Allen's played really well as of recent. Jacob Markstrom's played well and has struggled as of recent. Who do you go with? You have to go with the guy who got you to this point. I mean, go ahead, look at his numbers. He still has a .902 this season. Even though, when you look at his last 5 games, .829. It's brought his numbers down. He's struggled since. Now, if there's still injury concern with Jacob Markstrom, where he's not completely even, not saying not 100%, because I think that seems a little bit more obvious that he's not a full 100%. But if he's to a point where, he's just getting into games to try and get Devils wins, then okay, you take a backseat, you give the net to Allen. But if that's not the case, and he's just struggling right now, you got to get him going. You got to get him into hopefully 8 of these final 13 games. Go ahead, let him play. You built some separation, and I think he gives you the best chance down the stretch to continue building that separation. I mean, he is the guy. He's the reason, or a huge reason, why you're here right now. The Devils last season had arguably the worst goaltending duo in the league. This year, they're easily a top 10 tandem, arguably top 5. You have to go with the number one guy. Your number one guy is Jacob Markstrom. Now, you can say, you want to go ahead and you want to split games. You want to put one in here, put one in there. I'm not a fan of that. We see in the playoffs sometimes where a goaltender comes in and then, another goaltender has a bad game, so now we're going with the other one. Yeah, go as Boston, how that worked. Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark in the playoffs past 2 years. Go look how that worked out for Boston. I don't like going back and forth. I think if a goaltender has a bad game too in the playoffs, you stick with him if he's your ace. If he's your number one guy, you go ahead and you stick with him. Now, if obviously, you see another, your top goaltender, you struggled, and then you have to go back to him, that's one thing. But this whole entire circus of going back and forth between, all right, you're going to start this game, you'll start this game, you'll get that game, you'll get those 2 games, you'll come back in next game, I don't think that makes much sense. I don't think it helps the team. I don't think it helps the goaltenders. I don't think it really helps anyone. I don't think it's going to help you lead to more wins. You have a little bit more cushion now. You have to get Jacob Markstrom in for the playoffs because that's your goaltender. If you're going to go into the playoffs and win in the playoffs, you need a Jacob Markstrom. This isn't a Jake Allen job. And Jake Allen has done a fantastic job. He's done better than his job. But when you're in the playoffs and you paid your goaltender top assets to give up, first round pick, you have to go with him. And he's proved it. He was great up until recently. He was winning the Devils games. He was one of the top goaltenders in the NHL. I believe I saw a vote that he was finishing third in the Vezina trophies. And he was just behind Philip Gustafsson. Now, this was like back in January. because that's where he went out. But that's the type of goaltender you have. And when you have that type of goaltender, you have to go find a way to get him back and ride him. The upside is there with Markstrom. Allen's done his job. Allen's done better than his job. Markstrom is the guy going forward for the Devils if they want to be a competitor in this thing. And that's no disrespect at all to Jake Allen. Jake Allen's done a better job than I think any of us could have asked for. But the guy who you're asking to do that better job is Jacob Markstrom. He's got to be your guy going down the line. Let me know what you think. Do you want to see kind of one player going in, one goaltender going out? I don't know. I don't like it, but maybe you guys do, and you guys can let me know why I'm wrong there. But let me know, guys. Hopefully hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys really soon because playoffs are right around the corner. Should be a fun one. All right, I'll see you guys.